Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be taking this thrifted dresser that I got from Goodwill for only $10 and we're going to be flipping it back onto Facebook Marketplace for a profit. Structurally, this dresser is great, which is my favorite type of dressers, but cosmetically and just looking at it, it's definitely a little outdated and it kind of reminds me of a grandma's dresser. No hate out there to grandmas and grandpas, it's just, it could use some modernizing. I'd like to change out the hardware and get it a new base, and then also the biggest change that will happen is we're going to be switching its color. This orangey brown color is definitely going out of style, so we're just going to add a little bit of a pop of color that hopefully it'll modernize it a bit more. This is definitely going to be a super quick and easy flip, so let's get started by taking off the hardware. I forgot to mention it, but this dresser is also actually from Bassett Furniture, which if you know anything about furniture brands, Bassett is one of those top companies that makes high quality furniture. This stamp and branding will make a difference in what I price this dresser on Facebook Marketplace when it's finished. Now what's really nice about these older pieces is a lot of the time the hardware is pretty loose. So I just like to use a screwdriver. You can also use a drill. A lot of people do. Sometimes I do if the hardware isn't that loose. But it's usually pretty easy with a screwdriver. Now for this dresser, I think we're definitely going to be changing out the hardware. This isn't the most outdated hardware I've ever seen, but it's definitely not what I would pick if I were wanting a new dresser. So we're gonna get these hardware holes filled in, which we'll do a little bit later, and then we'll pick something new by the end of this video. I'm also gonna pull all of these drawers out. I just think it's a lot easier to pull them out after the hardware is off so that we can continue working on them face down rather than to the side like this. Real quick, while we're pulling these drawers out and taking the hardware off, if you guys could like this video and subscribe if you aren't already, it tells the YouTube algorithm that you're really liking my videos and my content, and it helps push it out to more people. I am trying to reach a goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so I really do need your guys' help. Thank you for any love and support that you give me on this video, and let's get back to it. So personally, I don't see myself ever using this hardware again. So I'm gonna go ahead and donate it. You can track all of your donations and it'll help with your taxes. So I like to do that. And just because I don't like this hardware and don't see myself using it, doesn't mean that's the case for everyone. In fact, there are a lot of people out there who still really like this hardware and is always searching for it. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start cleaning this piece down. This piece really isn't very dirty to begin with, but it's always super important to do before you move into painting. I just like to use Dawn dish soap and warm water. I'm gonna run through it really quick just because I know it's kind of boring to watch, but it's so necessary, so make sure you never skip this step. The cleaning process is also a really good time to just look over your piece really good and really close to just make sure that there aren't any dings or deep scratches or nicks that you think need to be filled before you get into painting. Luckily, this piece really didn't have any, so I was all good there, but sometimes I do find a lot of scratches that I have to fill. All right, see, there's very minimal dirt on this one, which is a good sign because that just means that the people who had this before me just kept really good care of it. As I was cleaning though, I noticed that I can actually take these off, and I think I'm gonna do that because right now it's kind of curvy and I'm not really liking that. It's kind of bulky too, and I think if we take those off, it'll be straighter lines, cleaner lines, and it'll just make it a lot more modern. That came out so easy. All right, well that's good. Ta-da! I have some holes to fill here though, but that's okay. I think we're actually gonna move into that next though, because now that I took this off, there are some holes that need to be filled here, and I also want to get the hardware holes filled can take a little bit for that to dry, and the sooner we get that done, the sooner we can keep moving forward in this makeover. Recently, I've really been enjoying this DAP plastic wood. It's pretty similar to the spackling in the sense that it goes on pink and then it dries white, but this is more of a wood filler than a spackling. And I will say, I think I like this one a little bit more, only because once it dries, it doesn't leave those ring marks that the spackling does. And technically spackling is meant for drywall, it's not actually meant for wood. However, it does a pretty good job, but this one I think one-ups it just by a little bit. I do think it takes a little longer to dry, but for better results I think it's worth it. So we're gonna get these hardware holes filled, some of the holes on the dresser, and then we're gonna have to sit and wait for it to dry. Changing out the hardware and filling in the previous holes to make new ones can really be an intimidating process if you've never done it before, but it is so easy, so don't let it keep you from doing it. Changing out the hardware can be one of the easiest ways to modernize a piece of furniture and really bring value to the piece that you are working on, which is super important if you are flipping these pieces for profit or resale. You can always practice on an old piece of wood or something that you have laying around, but I would highly recommend changing out the hardware as often as you can. It's actually now the next day, and I let the wood filler dry overnight just so that I knew it was really hard and ready to go. I'm ready to start sanding. I'm just going to use a 220 grit with my sander here. I have it attached to my shop vac so that most of the dust will just go straight to the shop vac, and that's why you don't see me wearing a mask. You still may want to wear some sort of respirator or something, especially if you don't have an attachment like this that sucks up most of the dust. That could be really harmful to your lungs. While I'm sanding, I'm focusing on two things. One is obviously just giving the piece a scuff sand so that it's ready for paint. But number two is sanding back that excess spackling that we just talked about. Sanding is pretty straightforward, so let's just get started. Anytime I'm doing a scuff sand, I usually stick in that 200 to 220 to 300 grit range. I think going below a 220, it starts to get a little bit too gritty and it can create some bigger scratches in your surfaces. That is kind of more for stripping back old stain or old paint. So I definitely wouldn't go below a 220. I'm assuming you're watching this video because you already flip furniture or you're wanting to start. So you'll kind of figure out the grit that you like to use most often as you do project after project after project. But while we're on this topic, why don't you guys comment down below and tell me why you're watching this video? Are you wanting to learn furniture flipping? Have you already been flipping furniture or making over old pieces of furniture and you just enjoy the content? I'm really interested to know because I don't know that much about you guys, but I'd really like to. Now that this dresser has been sanded, I got all of the dust wiped back so it's ready for paint. I am going to be using Dixie Belle's paint today. Originally, I wasn't sure which color I wanted to use, so I did go to my Instagram followers and I asked them in my Instagram stories what color they thought I should use, and the lineup was Black Sands, which is their silk all-in-one paint. It's more of like a black grayish color. Next up was another one from their silk line, and this color is Hampton Olive. This is more of like a green, it's an olive green color. It's pretty spot on. The next one was actually from their chalk mineral paint line, and this is a darker green. It's called Collards Green. And then the last one that I had to choose from in this lineup was the color Anchor, which is a super deep, dark black. Now, honestly, I was kind of hoping that it would be between one of these two greens. I've been itching to just paint a dresser green recently, and luckily my followers picked this Hampton Olive green color from the Silk Mineral line. I'm really excited to use this one. I haven't used it before. I've used Black Sands and I've used Anchor. I also haven't used Collards Greens yet, but we'll get there eventually. Today we're going to be trying this one out though. So now you guys aren't gonna see me putting any primer on. You're also not gonna see me putting any top coat on because like I said, this is an all-in-one paint, so I only have to focus on the paint itself. I've also been doing a lot of rolling on these pieces, which I absolutely love the finish, but I have missed the feeling of just hand painting, so I'm gonna focus on using my brush and only my brush in this video today. I've got to admit, I'm really excited to see what this color looks like on this dresser. If you know anything about me and my work, then you would know that I very much stick to neutrals. However, I have been exploring more green colors recently, and I think I'm falling in love with greens. In fact, I think some of the greens that I see on furniture these days are some of my favorite colors. Like, they may even go above just a crisp bright white. I think that they just add so much to the piece that, I don't know, I'm really liking the greens, and I think I'm obsessed with how this dresser ended up turning out. One thing that I really wanted to talk about in this video, and it's not even sponsored, but Dixie Belle Paints, which is the paint that we're using today, has really good coverage. It only took 2 coats to reach full coverage with this color, and honestly I probably could have gotten away with just doing 1 coat and then like a touch-up coat, but I kind of have this rule where I do a 2 coat minimum just because I am selling these pieces. I like to make sure that they are in the best state that they can be, because I don't want anyone to come and look and be like, oh, I see it's not fully painted there. You know, you just want to really pay attention to all the details and pay attention to make sure that it has full coverage and everything. But yeah, it only took 2 coats and then it was good and ready to go, and I was so happy because I didn't have to top coat it or anything. The first coat dried up pretty quick, so I was able to move into the second coat maybe an hour or 2 later, and I have so much of the paint left over that I definitely will be able to do another makeover with this color. You can see between the first and second coat of paint, I did end up modernizing that base just by cutting off all the curves, and now it just looks a lot cleaner and just smoother lines. I will say I also made a last minute off-camera decision to cut the lines and the curves on these top 2 drawers. I think they just look so much cleaner now that they're like that. Before we really end this video, I just want to show you how smooth and sleek this looks. The hardware's not on yet, but I am gonna go with this vintage yet modern knobs. I've used this quite a few times and I absolutely love it. So one last time, if you guys like this type of content, please make sure to like and subscribe. You can also comment and share this video. Any interaction really helps my channel grow, and let's get into the final reveal.
Love and try to make it new. You can't fight it when it feels so true. You drive me crazy like no